Hey everyone, welcome to the Health is Wealth webinar. I'm Gary Lipsky, and Ryan is going to be sharing how to boost your energy, optimize your brain performance, and crush your workday. A little bit about us. Break of Day Capital focuses on acquiring underperforming multifamily properties in high growth markets in the Southwest. We were recognized by the AAOA as the best real estate syndication company in 2022. We've acquired over 1,300 units and a total value of just over $250 million in over 4 years. And we've delivered investor returns that significantly exceeded pro forma in all previous full cycle exits. A little bit about me. I've been investing in real estate since 2002 with 3,000 plus units. I have over 30 years of operational experience. I have an Amazon best-selling book called Best in Class, which is, I think, the only book out there on asset management. And I'm also the co-founder of the Asset Management Summit. I have a podcast called the Real Estate Investor Podcast. So if you haven't listened to it, please check it out. And in the former life, I owned a outdoor ed, leadership development, and after school program that worked with 9,000 students in the Southern California area. And I also founded a nonprofit. But enough about me and Break of Day Capital. I want to turn it over to Ryan, who's got a great webinar set up for you. Ryan is a functional medicine practitioner and a board certified nutritionist. I went to a program of his maybe about 2 months ago. We did a breathwork and a seminar, and it was fantastic. And I think you're really going to enjoy it. So I will turn the reins over to Ryan.
Just a quick intro about myself for anyone listening in. As Gary mentioned, my background is in naturopathic and functional medicine. I run a full-time practice, consult with patients from all walks of life, all over the globe, and do all telemedicine. And then I have, as Gary mentioned, podcasts and group coaching and programs and books and courses and all that sort of jazz. So that's a little bit about me and my background. I'm not going to get too into that today. Let me see if I can piece together a PowerPoint slide. So let me see. Are you looking at my screen? Is that coming through? Let's see.
All right. No, I don't see it yet.
Screen share. So let's well share. How about now?
Perfect.
Yeah, it's coming through.
Yep.
Okay. Present view. What happened here? Okay. 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 So is this it? We good? All right. I'm hoping that you see my screen here.
Yep, we see it.
Okay. Okay. So I mentioned a little bit about this, but really what I want to run through with you guys, we're going to keep this sweet. It's really about combining the best ancestral practices with modern science and some of the most effective tools and strategies and lifestyle practices I've seen really transform the health and performance of my patients. I work with a lot of real estate investors. I work with probably 50 plus guys in GoBundance, a bunch of people in the real estate space. My patient is Brandon Turner, who's a big time real estate guy. I work with a bunch of his friends and colleagues. And so I'm very familiar with brokerage and investing. I do some million in real estate space as well. And so I know that performance is everything. Having the right mental clarity, the right energy levels, having your executive function dialed in. This makes a world of difference for any entrepreneur, anyone who's running their own business where your pay is based on your performance, right? You eat what you kill. So it's not like you're just running through the motions, punching in and punching out. And so this is why a lot of this stuff translates to massive improvement. So quick FNDA disclaimer. I obviously don't know anyone watching this. I'm not here to diagnose or treat anyone. talk to a qualified health practitioner before you do anything. Don't sue me if you learned some cool shit today. And with that disclaimer, here we go. So I'm going to start with the morning stuff because how we start the day really is going to set the stage, how the whole day. So I'll run through an optimal day from morning till night. What to do as far as your habits, your routines, your lifestyle practices, your nutrition, so on and so forth. That's really going to help you move the needle. So the top 3 things as far as the morning trifecta that I'm a huge proponent of. Get outside for some sunlight, hydrate, because we wake up in a state of dehydration. We lose over a pound of water overnight just while we're sleeping. And the sun is a huge component to this because it helps to recharge our mitochondria, our energy producing mechanisms, and it helps to get our neurotransmitters going, makes a huge impact of getting that morning sunlight to wake you up. And then I'm a big fan of a mindfulness practice. So as far as the sunlight, you can't wear sunglasses. You don't want to be inside because window glass blocks a lot of these beneficial spectrums. So get outside and it's going to actually trigger your body to stop storing fat and start burning fat. So it's great for your metabolic health. And it also is massively important for your sleep the next night. So good sleep really starts in the morning, and getting this morning sunlight, even if it's cloudy outside, makes a massive impact on your sleep and wake cycles and your biological clock, your circadian rhythm. And it's as simple as just going outside. It's not hard. A lot of the stuff I'm going to be going through with you guys is not rocket science, but it makes a huge difference. When it comes to the hydration, I recommend people get at least 1 ounce for every 10 pounds of body weight. So if you weigh 200 pounds, get at least 20 ounces of water first thing in the morning. This is within 10 to 15 minutes of waking up. I like to add minerals to the water because H2O is only part of the equation. We also need the right minerals and electrolytes and trace minerals to optimally take up that water at the cellular level. And so I like a product called Relight. It tastes great. You add a scoop to your water. I have no affiliation with any of the supplement companies I mentioned in today's presentation. Whether you buy or don't buy this makes zero impact on me financially. But this is what I use. This is what I recommend my patients, my practice, because it's going to amplify the hydration and bring in some magnesium and some sodium and some potassium and some trace elements that are really going to optimize what you get from that morning water to get your bowels moving, to upregulate your energy systems, to help it alleviate any brain fog or headaches or any dehydration later on in the day. And you still want to drink water later in the day. This is just upon waking, but it makes a huge impact in getting your day started before you have coffee, folks. And then mindfulness. Different breathing techniques and meditation practices and morning formulas that I'm a huge fan of. One of them is a dopamine activation breath work. I don't think we're gonna go through it today. I usually like to guide people through this. It's kind of like a modified version of Wim Hof. It takes a whopping 5 minutes and it totally lights up your energy systems and upregulates your dopamine and you feel like a freaking $1,000,000. So I'm going to get this slide deck to anyone who registered for this, Gary, and they can check it out and I'll send over some tutorial videos and such for how you can do this breath work at home. But it's one of the best state changes you can achieve in 5 minutes, and the power of your breath is unbelievable. And then as far as a part 2 to this morning stack, once you've gotten your water in, you've gotten your sunlight, you've done a little mindfulness practice, that might be the first 10 minutes of your day. Real quick, real simple. I'm not a big proponent of like a miracle morning, like 2-hour practice, because it's just not sustainable. Like you got shit to do. You got to get to work, guys. You can't be dicking around in your morning routine for 4 hours. So I'm about like, what can we do in 5 or 10 minutes that's going to really move the needle? And then part 2, kind of optional to this is when you can have a cup of coffee, cup of tea. My favorite herbal tea is yerba mate. It's like freaking, it is amazing for your mental clarity and for your energy levels. And then doing some type of movement. Most people are knocking out later in the day. It's just like you're tired. You're tired, dude. You don't want to go crush a workout at 4 p.m. after you've been, hammering away in the office all day. So get it in the morning, and it's going to make the whole rest of your day better. That could be as simple as going for a walk outside. That could be crushing a resistance training session and doing some weightlifting. That could be interval training or cardio. That part doesn't really matter as much as just getting some blood flow going and getting some movement in before you've had breakfast. And then if you really want to cap off this trifecta, I would hit a sauna or a cold plunge and do some contrast therapy. Then fantastic. I mean, this is really the trifecta for feeling like $1,000,000. If you crush, a cup of mate. You get after it like a 15 or 20-minute workout. You jump in the sauna for 15 or 20 minutes, and then you take a cold shower. That's about as good as you could feel. I mean, it's incredible. You are just so high on your own supply at that level. It's spectacular. And then I really like to stack these things together. Like I mentioned, you don't have to do your hydration and like twiddle your thumbs. You can be outside drinking your water, doing some meditation or breath work, all in the same 5 to 10-minute window. So you could stack these habits for more efficiency. And then as we move into the midday, it really is key to incorporate some of these practices, because you could structure these into your work routines and it'll make a huge impact on how you feel, because we require good blood flow to the brain. So one of the things I love is called trigger sessions. And if you sit in front of a computer at a desk all day, this is imperative, because that prolonged sedentary time will actually negate the benefits of your morning training, because you're sitting on your ass all day. So you got to keep the body in motion. Now, most of us work jobs where we're on technology, like we're not out there swinging a hammer. And that creates this scenario where you need to be intentional about keeping the body moving. So I like to take little micro breaks in between my consults, in between my calls, of just getting off my ass, doing a quick set of push-ups, getting right back to work. Or get up, do a quick set of squats, get right back to work. You are not going to sweat. You are not going to be out of breath. This is like a 30 to 60 second movement break. But the reason I call it a trigger session is because it triggers this upregulation in your metabolic rate, in blood flow to the brain, which helps to produce what's called BDNF. It's like fertilizer for your neurons, brain derived neurotrophic factor. And a lot of people will say, Ryan, like I'm in the flow, dude. I don't have time to do 20 push-ups and, take a break from my computer. But really the way that our brains work is by having brief interruptions where you get away from the screen for a bit, reset your eyesight, get some blood flow going. It's tremendously impactful to your productivity. It's actually going to increase your output. It's not going to be a negative distraction. This is going to be a very positive distraction. So I encourage you to incorporate some of that. I'm a huge proponent of sensible sun exposure. Your energy systems in your cells, called your mitochondria, they run on sunlight. The near infrared light we get from the sun literally charges up these power plants in your cells and creates amazing surpluses in energy. And you also get an amazing boost in your neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. And I mean, listen, guys, anyone who's laid out in the sun knows it feels freaking awesome. That's why people that go on vacation lay out in the sun all the time, because you feel great and it's awesome. But most of us don't take the time to do it during the week, because we're working on our businesses. We got a lot going on. Yet the vast majority of you listening to this could do a lot of your same workflow outside in the sun. Many people work from home. Even if you don't work from home, you can get away from the office for an hour, and you can eat your lunch outside in the sun and just roll up your sleeves, or get as much skin exposure as you can without breaking any laws here. I personally like to lay out naked in my yard every day, and it's freaking incredible. You only need about 10 minutes each side, 20 max. The reason I call it sensible sun exposure is because going outside for 4 hours when you don't have any type of tan built up is freaking awful. You're going to get sunburned, and burns on your skin are really damaging, whether it's from hot water, the stovetop, or the sun. You don't want excessive oxidative damage on your skin. So when it comes to this sun topic, you really want to go out for whatever your skin can tolerate. No sunscreen, no sunglasses, and soak in all these benefits, because sunscreen and sunglasses are going to block a lot of these benefits. And then do it for 10 or 15 minutes, come back inside. That's all you need. You're not going to get sunburned in 10 minutes. And if you're really fair skinned, you're really prone to sunburns, do it for 5, do it for 3. Whatever your skin can tolerate is good. That's going to be better than nothing. And we are solar powered animals, guys, and we've been so domesticated and disconnected from the natural environment that enables us to thrive. I've done a whole podcast on this, how to optimize the sun without any, damage to your skin or aging of your skin. And so I kind of outlined this, and being outside for sunrise and sunset is fantastic for your circadian rhythm and your sleep, but it's really midday sun around solar noon between 11 and 1 that maximizes the vitamin D synthesis and the hormone response and the melanin production and many of the other benefits we're going for with the sun exposure. I love nootropics. For anyone that doesn't know, nootropics are natural herbs and nutrients and compounds that optimize your brain function. So a lot of smart drugs like Ritalin, Adderall, Vyvanse, modafinil. These are pharmaceutical agents that work for some people, but they come at a very big biological cost. They're not good for you. I mean, Adderall and Vyvanse, I mean, these are amphetamines. Like, this is basically an analog of meth. And even these things like modafinil, these things are not good for your nervous system. These things are really damaging long-term to your dopamine pathways. So I'm not a fan of those. But I am a big fan of herbal supplements that are a net positive to your brain health and to your health long-term, but also provide you with this upregulation and focus and concentration and utilizing them smartly. So I love kratom as an herb. It's gotten a lot of negative press because people use it in mega doses as a painkiller because it's actually sedative and can help as an analgesic in super high dosages. In low dosages, it's actually more of a stimulant and can help you with focus and cognition. It's one of my favorite nootropics. It's an herb that is indigenous to Southeast Asia. It's grown throughout Thailand and Bali, and it's in the coffee family, but it doesn't actually contain any caffeine. Hence why if you took a crap load of it, it'll make you tired. Whereas if you took a small amount, it makes you awake. It's a wild plant. It's got a ton of awesome benefits to your dopamine pathways. So it helps you get motivated and focused and upregulate your mood. Any of these nootropics that make you feel awesome can have a potential for abuse. So be mindful of that. These things aren't inherently addictive. I would consider coffee and caffeine to be exponentially more addictive than any of these things down this list. But tread lightly. If you have an addictive personality or any history of substance abuse, you probably just want to skip this whole slide. For people that don't, Qualia is fantastic. Think of it like a multivitamin for your brain. It's got a bunch of amino acids and herbs and things like alpha GPC and huperzine A and good plants that can help to upregulate your choline, your acetylcholine systems, as well as your serotonin and dopamine. So it's got a bunch of ingredients working on different pathways. I get the caffeine-free one because, like I mentioned, I love my yerba mate, so I don't like to get caffeine in supplemental form. Thesis is a very interesting stack that combines a series of different nootropics for different pathways. You get like a box of 4 different formulas, and that's something that can be pretty cool because you can try them out and see which one works best for you and get an idea of what's going to be the best fit for your brain because everyone's a little different in here. Clean nicotine gum. This is an interesting one because most people associate nicotine with cigarettes, and cigarettes are like death sticks. No one should smoke tobacco. It's freaking awful for you. And I've never in my life actually smoked a cigarette. I'm very anti-tobacco. I think it's just repulsive. But actual nicotine is very similar to caffeine in terms of having some neuroprotective properties, in terms of having some really good natural boost to your system when it's plant derived. And you don't have the hundreds of added chemicals that are in, death sticks like cigarettes, and you're not smoking it. You're not vaping it or ingesting any shitty chemicals in your lungs like the propylene glycol they put in these vape pens. So sometimes I'll use like nicotine mint or gum or lozenge. That could be a great option for and low dose, meaning about 2 milligrams. To give you some perspective, one cigarette has about 12 milligrams of nicotine, so there's not a lot. And this is something that definitely can be habit forming, but it's awesome. Great for a nice afternoon pick-me-up because it has a short half-life. So unlike caffeine, which has a longer half-life, if you had a cup of coffee at 3 or 4 p.m. to kind of power through the latter part of the afternoon, it's likely to be deleterious to your sleep quality. If you had a little nicotine at that same time, nicotine gum or nicotine lozenge, it's not going to mess with your sleep at all. It's going to be totally out of your system way before you go to sleep. So that's a cool option. I also, Noopept and Rastam is a whole another class of nootropics that I like that have its benefits and its upside. And then proper nutrition and lifestyle. That's a big one, guys, because if you are not eating well and you're eating a bunch of terrible foods that are jacking up your blood sugar and your insulin response, and you're not getting quality sleep at night, these nootropics are only going to help you so much. You're working an uphill battle. You got to focus on the foundation, and then these things are like icing on the cake. Steps for implementation. So you got to prioritize this stuff, guys, just like anything in life. If you put your business first before your health is going to fall apart. And there's actually a really good saying that most people have it backwards. They prioritize this pursuit of financial freedom and gaining wealth And as a result, their health deteriorates. And then they get to a point where their health is so compromised, they have to spend all their money trying to regain their health. And it's a very backward scenario when you look at it like that and you really think about the big picture. No one here is a good investor or a good business person or a good entrepreneur if you feel like shit all the time and if you have a chronic disease. You know, we're not exactly talking about longevity here. All these things are going to amplify your longevity. I actually gave a talk on longevity just a few weeks ago up in Northern California. We went into some of the most awesome like anti-aging strategies. But at the end of the day, guys, you just gotta focus on what's really important at the end of the day. And there's a lot of apps and technologies you could leverage that could help you to remind you of these trigger sessions and doing some of these morning routine practices and getting your hydration in and integrating some of these things that are going to move the needle. And then you can also have triggers in your environment, setting yourself up for success by having a workspace that's conducive to these habits. And it also comes back to habit formation techniques and leveraging different tools and strategies to build this in as part of your identity and part of who you are and what you do. So it's not some sort of short-term program or any type of quick fix that's short-lived. I can check for any questions. I imagine we'll probably save most of these for the end. So I'm just going to keep powering through. So into the evening, I've expedited this presentation a lot, guys, because I do want to kind of give some opportunity for a little Q&A style at the end. So evening routine, very simple, guys. Do things that are going to calm down your nervous system and relax the body. Going for a nice walk after dinner is fantastic, especially to help with digestion and stabilizing out your blood sugar. So that's a huge one that I'm a big fan of. Get outside for sunset, soak it in on a nice casual stroll. You don't have to do anything too intense. And then I love to prepare for the next day, you know, doing some journaling, jotting down any mental notes, some gratitude, anything that's kind of on your mind. Unfortunately, a lot of people will get all these things going in their head before bed, where they're scrolling on social media and they're getting all triggered over all this crazy politics stuff and whatever this fucktard Biden is doing. And, you know, this communist dictator, Gavin Newsom, that's running this great state of California into the ground and all this crazy shit. And I get it. It's freaking frustrating as shit, but you can't be thinking about that before bed. You got to get that stuff out of your head and really kind of focus in on all the things you have in your life that are great, all the things that you can control, all the things going well, because what you think about is really going to dictate where your mind goes as you hit the pillow and start falling asleep. So having like a 5-minute journal practice to wind down is actually really effective and helpful. Trying to shut off any electronics before bed, mitigate any excessive phone and screen time. You can watch some TV, you can watch some Netflix, but try not to do it right up into the minute you fall asleep. Try and have these practices structured in, because it's going to really make dividends in your sleep quality. You can always wear like a pair of those funky orange glasses that you wear. There's actually some science behind those. They help to mitigate some of the blue light that can suppress your melatonin production. So they can be pretty actually helpful. But, you know, they're kind of like adult birth control. They don't look great on you. And then your other things that I love is deep stretching coupled with deep breathing. This is like a 1-2 punch combo that helps to open up different pathways in your nervous system and calm your body down. And it actually create this really cool response where you're lowering your resting heart rate, lowering your blood pressure. And I'm not talking about like a yoga class. It's just some relaxing deep stretches and deep breathing. And I like to do a double the length of exhale versus inhale. So for example, a 3-second inhale through your nose, deep into the belly, and then a 6-second exhale. Really prolonging that exhale will help to create this drop into your parasympathetic nervous system state and provide you with a ton of these benefits. And you can do that same breathing, stretching aside. You know, you can do that if you're driving in the car and someone cuts you off and you're freaking out and all upset. You can do this deep breathing. You can do this deep breathing anytime you feel like you're wound up, overwhelmed, stressed out. It's gonna really help. Shower can be great. Reading a physical book can be great. Intimate time with your partner, that's always great. Sleep optimization, you just gotta prioritize it, guys. Sleep is the most underrated performance enhancing thing that any of us can do for your work performance, for your physical performance, for your brain health, for your longevity, for avoiding chronic illnesses like cancer and dementia and neurological issues. Sleep is king. So you can't skip on sleep. And even if you're a great sleeper, like you need at least 7 hours. There's no way around it. If you're sleeping 5.5 hours right now, and you think you're one of those exceptions that could do it, you're probably not. You should probably sleep more. Don't eat a big meal close to bed, guys. This is a recipe for fat storage. Think about it. You're intaking all this fuel, all this energy, right before your body has almost no energy expenditure. You're freaking sleeping, dude. And this creates a lot of excessive fat storage, disruptions to your gut health, and disruptions to your sleep quality, because now your body is diverting all of this life force energy towards digesting that big ass meal you shouldn't have eaten so late, rather than focusing on recovery, rejuvenation, detoxification, and all these other processes that we want to take place while we're asleep. So you got to focus on eating an early dinner. When it comes to fasting, here's what most people do. They skip breakfast and they just run on caffeine and adrenaline and cortisol all day. And they do this because they're like, oh my gosh, my energy is so much better. Because if they don't fast, they end up eating some shitty breakfast that causes their blood sugar to spike and creates this massive, destruction of their energy levels. So they do that, and then they eat their first meal like 1 or 2 p.m. Because they're fasting, intermittent fasting, and then they end up eating a late dinner. And what we want to do, that's not the right way to do this. What we want to do is front load that nutrition. Our bodies are primed for food during the day. It's actually at night when a lot of our digestive processes, our insulin sensitivity, and a number of these other factors downregulate with our circadian biology. So I eat dinner at like 4 p.m. Now I'm a crazy person. I don't expect everyone in here to be as crazy as me. But if you could eat dinner by 5 or 6 p.m. and not eat any late night snacks after dinner, you are going to see tremendous improvements in your body comp, in your sleep quality, in your energy the next day, in any gut health issues you have. It's a simple hack. Eat early. Don't, snack on popcorn and desserts and other bullshit while you're watching TV at night, because it's just a recipe for disaster. And then having some sort of an evening routine, like people have morning routines. It's great. It's absolutely essential. Sleep supplements vary. I don't think I did any slides on that, but I like magnesium and 5-HTP and GABA and melatonin and all these different things. It very much depends on the person and what they need. But there's a lot of nutrients that could be used before bed that can really help to improve your REM cycles, deep cycles, sleep quality, and make sure that you're not having too many wake ups. And a lot of people wake up at 2 a.m. and their thoughts are going, they can't fall back asleep. Super common. There's a lot of remedies to that. But it just depends on the person and why that's happening and what specific things are going to best benefit them. Let's see. Simple things for your environment, guys. Dark room or an eye mask. Cold. You don't want it to be hot. If it's hot in your bedroom, you're going to suffer with the sleep. And it's summer right now, so I don't care what your electric bill is. Crank up that AC. You need it for your sleep quality. If it's hot, you're going to suffer. Or you could get a chili pad for your sleep, which is like a mattress pad. 8 sleep cells them, chili sleep cells them, and it runs cold water under you while you sleep. It's actually a game changer, because then you have these 2 zones. So your spouse have their side, you can have your side. Typically men run warmer than women. So women like the room to be like, 75 degrees, guys to be cold, and then no one's happy. So you can actually customize each side of the mattress, and it's probably saved a lot of marriages. It's pretty epic. So that's cool. And then no electronics in the bedroom. Your bedroom should be used for sleep and sex, not scrolling on TikTok, not watching news on YouTube and other nonsense on your phone as you're trying to fall asleep. Oh, I did mention some sleep supplements. That's my dog. She's a great sleeper. She sleeps like a freaking champ. And it's interesting because animals don't have sleep issues like humans. Humans are one of the few animals in the world that actually have issues with falling and staying asleep. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But these are some of the main nutrients I've seen clinically work like gangbusters for improving your sleep quality. Amino acids like 5-HTP, which is a precursor to your melatonin and serotonin, can also help with your mood. These are natural amino acids. These aren't addictive sleep, drugs. They're going to mess you up. These are things you could use and test them out. You can also track your sleep and see what type of effects they're having. Melatonin is an interesting one. I don't know how much time you have to really dive deep into that, but I used to not recommend melatonin because it's hormone. I thought, hey, just like other hormones, testosterone or progesterone, you start taking it exogenously, your body's going to down-regulate its production. It's actually very interesting. Melatonin doesn't work like that. So you can take melatonin and you can become mentally addicted to it. Like, gosh, I need my melatonin or I can't sleep. But physically, your body will not become reliant on melatonin. I've done a lot of testing on this, and it's very fascinating. Magnesium, lion's mane, apigenin. It's an extract from chamomile. There's certain sleep stacks, meaning a supplement that has multiple of these nutrients in there. One's made by Body Health. It's called Sleep. It's pretty awesome formula. We'll scroll through those questions. Let's see. Whoops. I don't know what happened. My slide got cut off there, so I can't read you that quote. Other things, more kind of advanced biohacking tools and devices. As I said, guys, you can't biohack your way out of a shitty life on a shitty diet. It doesn't work like that. If you're eating horrible foods, you're not sleeping enough, you're not moving your body, you're not drinking enough water, you could buy every peptide and IV and fancy equipment on the market, and it's going to not help you that much. You got to focus on the fundamentals. But once you have those fundamentals dialed in and you're like, Ryan, I'm nailing it, dude, I'm crushing these fundamentals, then you can bring in some of these more fancy, biohacking devices, equipment, and they have a lot of utility. There's some cool benefits. And we do live in the modern world. Some people listening to this might say, hey, dude, yeah, I can get some sun for the next few months. But come December and January, there's 5 feet of snow outside. I'm not getting my sensible sun exposure, Ryan. Like, there's nothing I could do about that. I live in Canada or the East Coast or whatever. And, what I would say to that is, okay, move to a warmer climate closer to the equator, or a more reasonable option for most people, implement a little better living through science, which would involve like a full, platinum B right therapy device that's going to simulate a lot of the benefits we get from the sun. You don't need it if you get the sun because that's provided to you for free from Mother Nature. But if there's a bunch of snow outside in the peak of winter and you don't want to feel depressed and have seasonal affective disorder and shitty energy levels because you're not getting any sunlight and we're solar powered animals, well, then you're going to want to use some of these devices. So most of these things can be achieved through natural means, grounding by walking barefoot outside, getting some sun, doing a bunch of these things. But there's some cool stuff out there. For biofeedback, that's kind of step one, because then you can see what's working, what's not working. So I have like a little ring on, it's called an Oura ring. It tracks your sleep cycles, your sleep quality, your resting heart rate, your heart rate variability, which is a really good sign of your nervous system stress, as well as a number of other metrics, your movement, your steps, your body temperature, a bunch of cool stuff. And that's cool. Whoop does similar things. It's just a wristband instead of a ring. Pretty similar. And it's cool because then you can say, hey, I tried this, 5-HTP amino acid for my sleep that this crazy guy Ryan told me about. And what do you know? My deep sleep percentage went up by 50% when I take this amino acid. It's definitely working. Whereas without these biofeedback devices, you might take something and be like, I think it's helping. I feel a little better, but I don't really know if it's doing anything. So that's where these things can really come into play for having some objective data of what response it's having. It's like, oh, I had a couple glasses of wine before bed. Look what it did to my sleep. It completely tanked my sleep quality. My heart rate was elevated. Everything went to shit. Versus saying, hey, you know what? I ate an early dinner at 5 p.m. and didn't eat or drink anything but water after that. And I slept like a freaking champ. So there's a lot of cool things in that regard. Stress reduction. There's some cool devices here. Apollo Neuro is a wristband that was created by this neuroscientist that sends these vibrational frequencies that can actually calm down your nervous system, and it has different settings. It's pretty cool. Grounding and earthing mats. How many people walk outside barefoot? Probably not as many as I would hope. And if you're not getting outside and connecting with the ground and absorbing those electrons that you get from the planet when your skin is in contact with the ground, you're missing out on a lot of benefits. And there's a lot of good research. This isn't some hippy dippy shit. There's like a lot of scientific studies backing up a lot of the things I'm sharing with you guys today. And so there's mats that you can actually attach to the grounding cable in your home that goes into an underground grounding rod to absorb some of those electrons. And you can use it while you're at your desk sitting inside. Newcom, not even getting into that, but that's a cool device. For sleep, the acupressure mat is pretty cool. It's like a bunch of pins on a cushion. You lay on it. It's pretty cool stuff. I already mentioned the Chili Pad and Uller, the sleep systems. Sleep mask is great if you don't have blackout curtains. Mouth tape, it's what it sounds like. You tape your mouth shut. And that's because most people are mouth breathers, which is horrible for you. You need to breathe through your nose, folks. especially when you're asleep. And when you're asleep, how many of you are controlling your breathing patterns while you're asleep? None, because you're asleep. So taping your mouth shut with a little piece of tape, not like a heavy duty piece of duct tape. It's like a little piece of medical grade tape. Enables you to trigger to your brain to breathe through your nose, helps calm down your nervous system, helps with jaw clenching, teeth grinding, any type of tension headaches or any type of stress kind of nervous system issues, and can provide a ton of benefit with oxygenation of your body and your sleep quality. And then nose strips go with the tape, because if your nose is congested, well, good luck mouth taping. You gotta breathe through one of them. Water filtration is key. These are some environmental stuff. So every cell, tissue, and organ in our body needs water, and 98.8% of the molecules in our body are water molecules. And guess what they're putting in our municipal tap water, guys? A bunch of fucked up chemicals: chlorine, chloramines, fluoride, heavy metals, all sorts of shit. And it's terrible. So filtering that out of your water is a very good idea. You know what, Gary? I'm gonna send you maybe a quick Google Doc with some links to some of these things that I can, provide people that tune into this presentation.
That'd be awesome.
That'll have some ideas for people where to order this stuff. Some of this stuff like the filters I can order for people. A lot of these things is I want to give you the action plan of where to get it, how to do it, what to implement. Air purification, same kind of thing. I'm not even going to get into the EMFs today. It's a topic for another time. Other things for recovery. So the MedLight 630 Pro is an awesome red light therapy device that emits a specific nanometer wavelength of red light that you could use on injuries or inflammation. If you, let's say, get tennis elbow, or you tweak your lower back, or you got a bum knee, or your foot gets injured, you put this thing on your on the area that's injured. It brings more blood flow. It reduces the inflammation. It enhances nutrient delivery. It's dude, it works as good as some of the $4,000 and $5,000 laser therapy devices out there, and it's $150. It's a total bargain, and it's a 4-minute treatment cycle once a day. And I've had people come to me, in my practice, patients of mine, that were going to get shoulder surgery, that were going to get knee surgery, that had these bad joint injuries. I'm like, try this out before you do the surgery. Sure enough, they're good to go. Hypervolts are cool. Platinum LED is a good red light therapy panel brand. And then higher cost gadgets and gear. I'm a big fan of the sauna. I've purchased and own and used almost all of the devices you could possibly think of in the health and wellness space, because I freaking love this stuff. And obviously it's part of what I do, being able to discern what's good and what's not for my patients and, people that listen to my stuff. Out of everything I've ever purchased, everything I've ever done, the single greatest thing is my sauna. I use that thing every day, and it's just you sweat out the demons. You feel like a new person afterwards. It's awesome. It's a little bit spendy, but it's a great investment in your health to have one in your home, gym or your garage or whatever, to be able to hit the sauna every day. I absolutely love it. Cold plunge can be great for this too. Don't worry about the biocharger. Hyperbaric oxygen chambers, ozone generators. This is some more next level shit that, if we had more time, I might explain what those things are, but for the sake of time, I'm going to skip right through it. I'm going to finish with this, guys. Caring for your soul, because the truth is, none of the greatest biohacking devices or longevity hacks or anti-aging strategies really matter if you don't have a true purpose in this world. If you don't have an ikigai, if you don't have something that brings you fulfillment and passion and purpose, that is really the secret to longevity. That is really the secret to health. If you look at some of the longest living people in this world, it's not that they have all these devices. It's not that they train like a freaking maniac. It's not that they eat like a saint. Most of them, it's because they have a lot of love in their life. They have people that they care about, that they see every day. They have things that they're passionate about. They have a higher belief system in something, a higher power, in whether that's a religious, belief system, whether that's something just they believe in a universal intelligence and some sort of source energy, whatever that might be for the person. They have a filled up soul. And that's something that gets missed in a lot of the circles I run in health and wellness and performance optimization, is really filling up your cup from an emotional and spiritual level. And so there's a lot of ways to do this, but it doesn't have to be religious. There's a lot of ways to go about having a deeper connection to God and what that could mean for you. But that's huge. And then having, good gratitude practice. It's at the end of the day, you got to remind yourself, life is so good. we got it so good. Like, I don't care what problems you have, what stressors you have. Like, when you sit back and you really look at the big picture, you're like, damn, life is amazing. And you got to remind yourself of that, because it's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day grind and all the bullshit, and sometimes lose sight of the fact that you're alive and well, your heart is beating, your lungs are breathing, you're probably not facing any terminal diagnosis. And if you can wake up and go out in the world and make love every day, what more can you ask for, dude? That's amazing. So that's something that I like to always remind myself of, and I like to always finish with, because that really, these types of things, finding your purpose, doing things that fill you up, having community, having friends and family and loved ones that you spend quality time with, that's what all this health stuff is for at the end of the day. And same with the financial stuff. That's why we do it, right? So if any of you want to connect with me, I know this presentation was probably really janky. I don't have any of my normal tech setup going, so apologies for that, but hopefully some of you stuck with me. You got Instagram, I post stuff all the time. You can email me any questions. You can go to my website. And yeah, appreciate you having me on, Gary.
Awesome stuff. We do have a couple questions, and if anyone else has questions, definitely put them in. But I'll read you them. So Joe asked, do you have any opinions on the use of microdosing of methylene blue, pharmaceutical grade, molecular hydrogen tablets, or deuterium depleted water?
Yeah, methylene blue is okay as a nootropic. Can help with your mitochondria function. I've messed around with it in the past. I found it makes your mouth all blue, which is not ideal. And I'm on Zoom calls a lot during the day, so that's part of the reason I don't love it, because it's sublingual. Molecular hydrogen, I haven't seen that many benefits from it clinically, but there's a lot of good research on it, and it's something I think is yet to be seen. I messed around with it. I haven't noticed anything, but I think it's pretty cool. Deuterium depleted water, I'm not sold on. Most people, it's a little bit complex to explain what that is, but most of the foods people are eating that are high in deuterium are more of a concern than the water. And if I'm working with a cancer patient, it might be something we leverage, because we need everything working in their favor. But yeah, not something I'm too gung ho about. And then you also asked about EMF mitigation, minimizing cell phone use, Wi-Fi, staying away from cell towers. Yeah, so the wireless ionizing radiation that's emitted from these wireless technologies is without a doubt damaging to our body. But at the same time, we live in the modern world, guys. You can't be too freaked out over every little thing. So my personal philosophy and strategy here, I keep my Wi-Fi on a cycle timer. So it turns off when I go to bed, it turns back on when I wake up. One of those cycle timers used for Christmas lights, because who needs Wi-Fi while you're sleeping, blasting you with wireless radiation? I keep my phone on airplane mode at night. I also have a hardwired Ethernet cable to my computer. Not yet, because I just moved here, but my last house had it. And I leverage these things that I think are going to be really kind of low-hanging fruit to minimize my exposure. I also leverage a lot of shungite, which is complex to understand, but I've done extensive testing and feel pretty strongly that it's doing some pretty cool shit. And then I also use a lot of fucking technology, because I run an online practice and I do all telemedicine, and I have an online business. And so I'm not one to wear a tinfoil hat and just go hide away in the forest either. Like, you got to have a balance here. So you can't freak yourself out over everything. So I find that minimizing your exposure is a great strategy. I don't wear AirPods, even though they're the most convenient things ever. I wear the old school wired earbuds, which I'm probably one of the few people I see in the world doing that these days. But I don't want my skull blasted with radiation. We're putting these things inside my head. So it's an interesting topic. There's a ton of research behind it, and a ton of evidence that points to me feeling very skeptical of the long-term safety of these wireless technologies. But you can't get away from all of it. Elon is pretty hell bent on flooding the world with satellites, 5G satellites, and who knows what's going to happen there.
Yep. It was interesting that you put lion's mane for sleeping, because I put it in my coffee every morning, because the way I understood it was more, like brain food. So
It totally is. You can absolutely use it in the morning. It's great for cognition to take it as a morning supplement. The reason I've seen it work well in the evenings is, well, one, lion's mane is not stimulatory whatsoever. So you can take it right before bed and still fall asleep just fine. But two is it can really enhance your REM sleep cycles. So for patients I work with that aren't getting enough REM sleep, the lion's mane I've seen be one of the more powerful therapies for going from, let's say, 45 minutes to 90 minutes of REM sleep at night, which is that, stage 4 sleep. So it just depends on the person. I have a lot of people take it in the morning as well, Gary.
yeah, I'll try it tonight. I'm very interested. You also mentioned magnesium. I know there's a bunch of different magnesiums out there. Do you suggest a certain type of magnesium at night?
Yeah, I could send you my preferred option. If someone was to get an like one form of magnesium at night, I probably recommend magnesium glycinate for sleep quality specifically. If they tend to get, constipated and don't have good bowel movements every day, I'd probably steer them towards magnesium citrate, which is going to help with bowel movements. But the type of magnesium I recommend is made by a company called Mother Earth Labs, and I'll send you a link for this, Gary. And it uses all 7 bioavailable forms of magnesium. So it has glycinate and citrate and orotate and a bunch of other types of magnesium, like magnesium taurine and what other ones. It's got like 7 forms, and then it has a couple other cofactors. It's got some vitamin B6, I think it is. It's got a little bit of zinc, some humic and fulvic minerals that help with the uptake of the magnesium. So it's like a complex that's fantastic. So that's my go-to magnesium product.
Awesome. Well, any last questions before we let Ryan go? Joe says, thank you very much. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for coming on. We'll send this off to everyone. Super valuable. Appreciate your time, and I'm sure we'll have some people reaching out for more information.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on, Gary.